great guys from different parts of the country, you know.
Okay.
Came really close with a couple of them, and one was from Philadelphia, and another one was from Manassas, Virginia.
Okay.
We became quite close and
Mhm.
stayed connected after the military and stuff. So,
Okay.
yeah, that was about it.
Okay. Well, most of the people in your class about your age group are 5 years in. Were you within 5?
Well, you know, they were going through a real heavy recruiting at that time.
This would have been 66.
66, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 66. I went in 65, but that was shortly thereafter. I mean, just prior to that, John F. Kennedy was down there at Fort Bragg, and he went through the presentation area. We had a presentation area where they, the sergeants go out there and do their free falling and regular jumping and different things like that. And so it was called the Gabriel Demonstration Area. And then President Kennedy went down there, and he agreed to let the guys that finished this wear this green beret.
Oh yeah.
So it was a big thing, and then Barry Sadler wrote that record, the Green Berets and stuff, So it was real extensive recruiting. They were trying to get as many people as they could.
Okay.
And, now when I was going through, there was the classes were pretty large.
Okay.
They were pretty large, and of course they were looking to fill slots in Vietnam. So they were right in the middle of the war, and they knew what they wanted. So it doesn't mean they were lax in their training or their anything. We still had to score a certain level on the different tests and stuff that you did.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Okay. So now that you were there for about 18 weeks, and your specialty was communications.
Yep, I went through communications.
Okay. So what was assuming that the bulk of your concentration would have been on communication, what was the other, how did you make it the other time? Was it filling, I just only knew about what I read about it. Was it learning some other skills that of your unit?
Yeah, the special forces, they weren't just radio operators. Our main purpose and objective, was they like to think that at that time, of course, if you remember the song and stuff, special forage units were 12-man teams. They were made up of commanding officer, and then an executive officer, and then a sergeant, and then everybody had responsibilities. You were either engineer or weapons or medic or something like that. But the objective of an A team was to move into an area and train the individuals, the indigenous people of wherever you happen to be going. And at that time it was the main objective was primarily Southeast Asia, but they were in South America too, in Panama. But so them thinking I was going to end up in Vietnam, I got a little bit of language training, Vietnamese language training, but we got a little bit of cross training too in medics, medical, and then the engineering, mining and explosives and your different things, and then the communications with the individuals, how you want to at that time win the hearts and minds of the local indigenous, and that was so it was the whole training revolved around a team.
Right.
You had a team, and everybody had a responsibility, and this is what you were going to do, and this is how you go about those different things. So.
Okay. All right. Okay. Looking back over the 18 weeks, what was the hardest part or the most memorable part of those 18 weeks of this training?
Well, the hardest part was learning that international Morse code.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Right.
that was difficult, all the dots and dashes
Mhm,
and,
mhm.
you know, all the letters, the A's and
Right,
B's and C's
right,
and
right.
being able to, you know, send Morse code, you
Mhm,
know. We learned a lot of different things, antenna technology or terminology, you know, how to
mhm.
get the best frequency so that your radio would work more efficiently and stuff like that. So that international Morse code was pretty difficult.
Okay.
That took a while, but then they didn't push. They gave you more than enough time. You know, I mean, early on we started learning it so that by the end of 18 weeks you became a little bit more proficient. And I think we had to do like 10 words a minute or something.
Okay.
You know, and,
Okay.
10 words is not too bad.
Right.
That's the low end.
Okay.
Some guys became much faster.
Sure, sure.
But yeah, it was just part of the training. But when I ended up in Nam, I never saw an international Morse code. But they taught you anyway.
But
The antenna theory and Morse code. So
Yeah, as a fallback position.
yeah, I guess yeah.
Yes.
I mean we carried in stuff in the jungle so that if we needed to put some sort of an antenna up theory-wise, we could determine what
Right.
it was, you know.
Right.
But we carried radios that were talking
Sure,
stuff, you know,
sure.
so you didn't have time to be doing international Morse
Yeah,
code.
yeah.
I mean, maybe in the A-teams, I never ended up on an A-team. Okay,
Mhm.
I will get to that, I guess.
Mhm.
Okay,
Right.
but maybe if you would have been in the A-teams, you know,
Mhm.
you could have.
Right.
You know, because there was more encryption and stuff, you know, when you send in messages to
Mhm.
wherever.
Mhm.
Okay. But what I did didn't fall into that category.
Okay.
I didn't
Okay.
do that. So, we got some extra jumping. We could jump just about any time we wanted, which was fun.
Oh, okay.
You know, I mean,
Okay.
a lot of guys enjoyed the jumps.
Mhm.
You know, we could arrange to jump in groups, because the pilots always were looking for flying time.
Mhm.
So if you could find what you need to do is go down to Pope Air Force Base, which was the Air Force Base that was adjacent to Fort Bragg.
Mhm.
And there was always, you know, aircraft going out that were going to do some sort of flight training, and then they'd end up over a drop zone, and they'd send you out. So, so you got to do some extra jumping. So.
Okay. Were these the C-130s or were they smaller?
C-130s, yeah.
Okay.
123s and 130s primarily.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. During this period of time too, how were you still communicating back and forth to home? And, letters and packages?
Yeah, always letters, you
Okay.
know. Of course, phone calls became a little bit easier.
Mhm.
You know, basic training in AIT, there were so many guys lined up at the telephone. I think there was a sign there that said you had like 10 minutes, and then somebody else you had to get off, so the next guy would get on. You know,
Right,
so you
right.
were always limited to how much time you could call. You know. And long distances, call with a coin machine and stuff. They didn't have calling cards like they do now. Or whatever,
Right.
You know, but you know, when you got back down there, you know, it was a lot, just so much more a different, you know, atmosphere. You
Sort
know.
of treat you like adults. Or something.
Yeah, absolutely. You know.
Right. I know the 82nd was there. Did you guys interface with them that much?
Not at all.
Not at all.
No,
Okay.
no. But I did. I told you about the one guy, Jakey.
Mhm.
He was from the east side of town.
Mhm.
He ended up in the 82nd.
Oh, okay.
You know, I think I went down. You know, went to him down a couple times. You know,
Mhm.
and they were a little bit more. We only trained 5 days a week. It wasn't like we, you know, all the rest of your training
Mhm.
leading up to that, 7 days a week.
Mhm.
We trained 5 days a week, and that was it. So you had Saturday and Sunday off, and you know, you were allowed to go off base, and I think there was a 90-mile radius where you could go for a weekend pass and stuff.
Oh, okay.
We always broke that though. Like me and my brother was down there, and he had a car, and we'd end up in the car. And I think it was 740 miles from Fort Bragg to Detroit.
Mm. So your brother was stationed there
Yeah.
at Bragg also?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was he in a different
No,
company?
he went through airborne school too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He ended up being a cook, and he
Mhm.
ended up in the 82nd. Well, he was in one of the Special Forces units as a cook, and then he ended up in the 82nd.
Mhm.
But he had a car,
Mhm.
so, you know, sometimes we weren't supposed to, but you know, after the Friday night, formation.
Mhm.